Hello and welcome to Community Report. I'm Vicki Pritchard and this is Lily joining me this evening. Oh, and Jamie Walker and Steve Cox too, with Kyle's New Hope Animal Rescue. Thank you so much for being here and bringing sweet, wonderful Lily, who is looking for a forever home, I understand. And I think after our viewers see her, she won't be homeless for too long. But right now she has a great home with you guys, right?
Yes.
Tell us about this organization.
Well, Kyle's New Hope Animal Rescue is dedicated to saving lives of animals that run out of options. We're very unique because we take in basically dogs and cats that are immediate medical need, that we have an on-site veterinarian that can take care of those immediate needs and get them up for adoption.
When you talk about immediate medical needs, how do animals generally come to you? What condition are they in when they find their way to you?
They're usually not in very good condition. We get some pregnant moms that are malnutritioned, and we also get, on occasion, a dog that might be injured in hit by a car, that kind of thing. So they're not in the best of health.
Tell us, what was Lily's story?
Bootsy came to us pregnant. She was at a high kill shelter, and we got her 2 weeks before she delivered the puppies. So once we got her, she was able to go to a foster home and have her babies there. So we got her at birth, Lily.
Well, what's a typical day with your rescue? How many animals do you generally have?
We generally have, with the litters of puppies, probably about 20, 25. We try to limit it and concentrate on our mission statement. So we're kind of unique in a way that we concentrate on the ones, again, that need the more immediate medical needs. We'd like to save all animals, don't get me wrong, but we try to concentrate on the ones that need the most attention.
Tell us more about the mission of Kyle's New Hope. Is it difficult to execute that and your goals, your mission forward, the way you choose to care for the animals and find homes for them?
It can be difficult. It's extremely busy, as you can quite imagine. There are a lot of people that reach out to us in the community, and we try to basically help everybody that we can. But it's difficult for us to sometimes turn away some people, because we want to make room for the ones that really need the help. Not that there's ones that don't need help, but the ones that really need immediate medical help is where our concentration is.
And that makes you pretty unique from other shelters, doesn't it?
Yeah, they don't have the luxury, I guess, of us having an on-site veterinarian. Dr. Kyle, that started it back in 2008, is basically on-site or can be available at any time. She's willing to even answer a call, late at night to save an animal. From...
What's her story? I mean, this is a pretty gracious and giving individual to make this kind of commitment, and she initiated this whole effort.
Yeah, I guess it started with all along where a lot of people were coming to her to find homes, and I guess a cat ended up on her doorstep back in 2008, and it was found, I guess, left in a box, and she found it, and apparently it had a broken leg, it had been hit by a car. So she took it in and did immediate surgery. Unfortunately, the leg had to be amputated, but saved its life and was able to find a forever loving home for it. So it kind of made her think back a little bit that she wanted to give back to the community and find homes for these animals that normally wouldn't find a home.
Well, talk about adoption fees. How do those run? For someone who's interested, who might want to get in touch with you and make an adoption.
Dog puppy adoption fees are $225, and that covers their spay, their neuter, microchip, up to date on shots. We heartworm test everybody, we deworm everybody, whatever is needed. As far as puppies goes, that covers their shots up to that date. And cats, their adoption fee is $95, and the same thing goes for them, the spay, neuter, microchip, and up to date shots. Yeah.
And it seems to be that there's a real effort now to get the word out about the significance of adopting rescue animals. Seems like everywhere, I know it was just a Philly market last weekend, there's a wonderful little pet shop there, Pet Once, and they promote these items about rescue animals, adopting rescue. Is that an effort that you've seen really pick up over the past year or so? Seems very recent.
it has picked up a whole lot as far as you see signs everywhere that says don't shop, adopt. And
Right.
that's kind of the mentality we try to put into everybody, because the overbreeding, the puppy mills
Right.
have just gotten, it's just sad.
Lily's helping herself to some little television snacks as the show. And she's bored with our conversation. She wants to eat. There are much more fun things to do, aren't there, Lily? You're right. Now, how long do you keep a dog like Lily, for instance? What's her general timeline? being with
Usually
you?
puppies, they're usually about 6 weeks of age, they're ready to go home. They're
Okay.
starting puppy food and they're eating great, and by then mom says, I'm done.
Okay.
So puppies, that's why we try to put them up for adoption early and try to get the word out that they're available.
Mm-hmm.
So when that 6 weeks come, they're ready to go to their forever home and start their new life.
And there's nothing inexpensive about what you do. I mean,
No.
you're taking in dogs right out the gate with medical expenses. Where does your funding come from? Is it just totally donations?
Primarily donations. That's part of where I came on board in the beginning of the year, try to raise awareness and raise some money for our mission. As you can imagine, there's a lot of outreach from other organizations looking for donations as well.
Right.
But once you kind of explain how unique we are and where the money's being used, we seem to get funding. We actually received one of our first grants this year. Basically just pointing out how we're different. And they actually came in and were quite impressed. It was a high school in Kentucky that actually had us as a project.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
We were delighted that they basically had won their project among other schools.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
Just the daily management of the facility, what's your budget? I'm sure it's staggering more than people would think.
Well-
And I don't know if you can say exactly, but it's not inexpensive, right?
no, the adoption fee does nowhere cover the cost. It far exceeds the cost, far exceed the adoption fee. But our thing is to get them basically up to date on their shots, get them spayed or neutered, and get them microchipped. And although that may entail some costs, we know that basically that if by chance one was to get loose, whatever could be found,
Right.
God forbid, and then the spay and neuter, cut down on the pet population, and then the shots are very important too. In case they come in contact with another dog, or they come in contact with another dog or cat. It's not all about, I guess, the money when it comes to us. We're in for the saving of the animal and finding a
Right.
home for it,
It
and
really
then
is.
we'll try to recoup some of our costs.
Sure.
Down the road.
It's a really wonderful holistic approach you have to caring for the animals, finding homes for them, putting the chips in them, making sure there's not a repeat, they don't wind up on the street again, that they always wind up in a home. Another effort that you have coming up to help support what you're doing, you have some events, don't you? Talk
Yeah,
about those.
we have some events. We've already held some really good events, but the one we're really excited about coming up is the Wags to Riches Casino Royale. We're partnering with United Pet Fund to try to get the Tri-State's first food bank. So apparently there is no food bank for animal rescues or shelters here in the Tri-State area, so we're trying to raise money for that, as well as try to cover some of the costs that we talked about, when it comes to taking in these animals and finding a home for them.
How will that food bank work for the rescue?
Well, basically, we're trying to reach out to a lot of the manufacturers out there to where we can have a central location where they can come and get supplies like dog food. As you can imagine, dog food is not very cheap.
No, it isn't.
And we're kind of picky because we want to make sure they're getting the top food for these animals. And we're trying to get specific dog food companies to actually donate some of their food to our location where they can come and get some
Are you
for
having
their
some luck with
shelters
that?
and
Some of
Yeah,
those
we are. We are
conversations?
having some success.
Great.
We're also going to have items from companies that normally are thrown out, like linens and towels and that kind of thing, that can be of use to a lot of the rescues and shelters here in the tri-state area. So we're not only, I guess, trying to promote ourselves, but help everybody in the animal rescue industry as well, because we're all, in it together.
Now, you're based in Cincinnati, correct?
Correct.
But how far will you go to rescue a dog or cat?
We have gone as far as actually California.
Is that right?
Where basically they reached out to us, and we initially were going to have the particular dog shipped, but it was so cold in the winter that it couldn't be done that by air transportation. So believe it or not, there's a lot of people across the United States that's willing to find basically help for these animals.
Is that right?
And they reached out to us, and along the way other volunteers met up with us to where we, I believe, went to Illinois to meet them and bring this particular dog back and basically
It's
help
because
it.
you're one of the few that operates the way you
Yeah,
do,
kinda,
correct? So word is getting out just nationally about what
Yeah.
you're
You
doing.
meet friends along the way, and one person knows one person, and it just builds, and it kind of, dog comes from California to here, and
Wow.
yeah.
But do you find, are there particular breeds that you find you're more heavily populated with? Are bull breeds something you see a lot of? Pit bulls and,
Not so much with our mission.
okay,
Yeah, we get a lot of, like he said earlier, we get a lot of pregnant moms.
yeah.
So, but we honestly don't have one over the other. It's a very wide variety.
I would venture to guess you've seen some real heartbreakers,
Yeah.
but some wonderful, heartwarming stories too. Do you have a favorite story, favorite experience?
Well, I think the one that warms my heart more than ever when I came on board in the winter months, we had somebody reach out to us about basically a hound dog that was found abandoned underneath some leaves. And we went down to get it. I believe it was in Kentucky or West Virginia. And we rescued it because it was in pretty bad health, as you can imagine, and it had a big tumor on its leg. So once we got it, we examined it, Dr. Kyle looked at it and determined that the tumor was inoperable. But basically, and also that it had been microchipped but not registered, which was kind of
Really?
disturbing. Yeah. So we made sure it was up to date on shots, current shots, just in case it hadn't been vaccinated.
I'd like to have something to say.
And we just took it in as just like one of our own, of course, and a lot of the people there just fell in love with George. We named him George, just an old fellow. I think he was about 9 or 10 years old. And I guess the thought goes across your mind a little bit. Now, will we ever find a home for a dog in this condition, that old? But actually, one of our Facebook followers had mentioned it on her Facebook page, and her friend had seen the story about George, and she lived in Massachusetts, and basically just fell in love with George and his story. That she actually flew down to Columbus from Massachusetts, rented a car, and drove out to Cincinnati to see George, and just fell in love with him.
No kidding.
Stayed overnight in the hotel, and then drove back the next morning to Massachusetts. And she shared the story of George traveling in the car and resting in the hotel, and ended up living with her and her husband on a farm of about 2.5 to 3 acres with some other dogs, and
George is living the good life now.
living the good life.
That is a fine story.
Sweet story.
Those stories just warm your heart, and you want to do so much more.
Absolutely.
When you go through an experience like that.
Absolutely. Lily would like to tell her story.
Yes, she would.
That's right now. Steve, tell us again dates, location for these upcoming events.
Yeah, the Wags to Riches Casino Royale is on August 22nd at 6 p.m. And it's going to be a great event. It's casino, live auction, silent auction. And then we've got the Golf for Paws, which is the golf event the next day from basically noon to 6 at Bellwood Country Club in Mason. So those are two of our biggest events, and then we actually have a dog walk in Sharon Woods as well, and that's in September.
Okay.
So
All right, for viewers who are watching and they want Lily, or they want to find out more about Cause New Hope and other dogs you have available, or maybe they want to volunteer help or contribute in some way but love what you're doing, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find out about what you're doing?
you can reach us at newhopeanimalrescue.org or at 513-469-7654, and we're at 11734 Conray Road, just off of Reed Hartman Highway. So we're really close to off the highway, real convenient for anybody who would like to come and visit.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for being with us and telling us about this excellent work that you're doing. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And I'm going to end this show now so I can go play with Lily.
Thanks.
I'm Vicki Pritchard. You've been watching Community Report. Thanks so much for watching, and please join us next week. If you're a community leader and interested in being on Community Report, give us a call here at the ICRC 772-4272.